Hello, very good afternoon to you wherever you're watching. Welcome to a beautiful, wintry, but stupendously sunny Portsmouth. This is the view from the Round Tower, which is our vantage point right at the entrance to Portsmouth Harbour. And now we're going to zoom in to see the star of today's live show. It's Tim Cooper with you, by the way, live on BFBS Forces News, going out on our YouTube channel and indeed on Facebook and BFBS. And that is the flagship of the Royal Navy there. HMS Prince of Wales, turned directly facing towards us now and beginning the final part of what has been an epic journey leading the Carrier Strike Group 2025 on Operation Highmast. 40,000 nautical miles, more than 2,000 aircraft sorties in support of NATO operations and Indo-Pacific exercises. And it all ends here in the Solent this 30th of November, St Andrew's Day. She comes home to Portsmouth. So there we have the carrier, but let us look once again at the broader scene here. And as ever, this most naval of cities has done the senior service proud by coming out not just in hundreds, not just in thousands, but, well, who knows, but many, many thousands of people lining the dockyard. We're looking now towards the Square Tower, in the distance, Clarence Pier in Southsea, beyond that the Naval Memorial, and people are lining that route all the way along, and as you can see, several deep in places. Well, a short time ago, I managed to grab a quick word with some of those who've come out today to welcome the ship home.
We've come to greet our son Todd in on the HMS Prince of Wales. We didn't get to see him off, so we thought we'd come down and see him in.
Croeso nôl, HMS Prince of Cymru.
What does that mean?
Welcome back, Prince of Wales.
Welcome home, Charlie! Really excited. It's been a long hog and we're just really excited to have him home.
You can just sense the delight there, can't you? It's a really, really lovely expressions of why people have come out today. I also learned a few words of Welsh, which I didn't know, so that's a good start. But that is encapsulated there in just a few people, the atmosphere that's been around us since really, really early this morning. My cameraman Mark Hearn, who's bringing these glorious pictures, was here well before 8 o'clock. I was over the other side in Gosford at that time, and we both filmed an earlier homecoming, because although we're here today to see HMS Prince of Wales, she was, as I mentioned, the head of the Carrier Strike Group. And take a look at these pictures now, which we filmed between us earlier this morning, of HMS Dauntless, the Type 45 frigate. By deliberate mistake there, I was getting overexcited by the loveliness of these pictures. Type 45 destroyer, of course, do forgive me. But this was shortly after 8:30 this morning, the ship coming in. She'd been with the carrier for the whole of this deployment. They did many, many things, and it's been wonderful to see HMS Dauntless come in first. It is, Portsmouth say, the naval base here, one of the busiest homecoming events perhaps in 20 years, because we had Dauntless there. We're now with the aircraft carrier. Down in Plymouth, HMS Richmond, the Type 23 frigate, is also returning home a little later. So three really important Royal Navy vessels are homecoming today. And as a little bonus, one of the friendly ships that was part of the task group the Roald Amundsen is also coming into Portsmouth Harbour later on, and we'll have a separate live broadcast to show her coming in. So, a packed day of naval activity here in the Solent, with so many people here to welcome this ship. You're live with BFBS Forces News, and this is the scene. The carrier pretty much on schedule, I believe, hitting Outer Spit Buoy at around about past, and now coming towards us. We estimate she'll be with us pretty much about 10 to the top of the hour, maybe 5 to. I've got a shout out to make, and that is for naval rating gunner Niall Excel, who is, I'm told, on the flight deck. He's been on board for the full 8 months tour, and I met a lovely gentleman from Southwold Rugby Club who wanted to say hello to Niall from everybody at Southwold Rugby Club in Suffolk. So there you go, Niall. Lots of people thinking of you there today. So let's fill in a bit more detail about the carrier strike group and what has happened. Well, HMS Prince of Wales led what the Royal Navy describes as a formidable task group, including destroyers, frigates, support vessels and Lightning F-35B fighter jets. It was all about projecting British power and reinforcing alliances with partner nations around the world. The Carrier Strike Group worked alongside forces from 12 partner nations throughout its deployment. They were Australia, Canada, France, India, Italy, Japan, Malaysia, New Zealand, Norway, Singapore and the United States. And that's a pretty extensive multinational effort there, and it saw British forces train with 9 separate carrier groups, with UK F-35 Lightning jets landing on 4 different Allied aircraft carriers. So that gives you an extent of the scale of ambition of this project. We often get accused in the media of banging on about all the bad stuff that's happened, all the things that don't work, and all the things that should work better, and so on. And that's our job partly, but also a day like today is a real chance to celebrate the successes, I feel, of what the Royal Navy's Carrier Strike Group, HMS Prince of Wales at its head, has achieved. So I think now is a good time to run through some of the firsts that have been achieved. So it's the first time an F-35 has landed on a Japanese ship, the Kaga. The first aircraft carrier to dock in Tokyo, and Singapore cruise liner terminals. The first UK-India dual carrier exercise. The first UK carrier group to visit Australia since 1997. And the first UK carrier group to take part in Exercise Bersama Lima, the 5 Powers Defence Arrangement main annual workout since 1997. It's been a first as well for the Roald Amundsen, who'll be out with us later. She sailed further east than any Norwegian warship before her and became the first to visit India, Japan and Singapore. Throughout, a UK Wildcat helicopter and crew were embarked. That is another first. The first keep going. It's good, this. I like it. The aircraft of the Carrier Strike Group have flown more than 2,500 sorties. They visited the ships, 12 countries, and interacted with 30 nations. The force has operated with 9 different carrier groups. Can you believe that? And as I mentioned, the UK's F-35Bs have flown to 4 other aircraft carriers. One significant milestone that the Royal Navy were incredibly pleased to announce was that the Queen Elizabeth class carrier and the Lightning Force have achieved full operational capabilities. I'll have a bit more on that in a moment. Part of going overseas for this is to showcase what Britain can do, both in terms of its naval abilities and abilities to work with partners and deploy a force like this, but also what Britain PLC can do. And with that in mind, some 4,230 visitors and guests were welcomed on board. 82 UK companies used the ships to showcase their products at industry and export events. And do you know what they reckon? Some £17 billion will be generated for the UK economy, and 28 VVIPs have been hosted on board. And I have to tell you that I was not one of them. This is BFBS Forces News, Tim Cooper, live on a very, very chilly but beautifully sunny day. And this is the wonderful scene we're seeing. HMS Prince of Wales coming towards us. So let me tell you what we expect in the next few minutes. I'm hearing rotor blades in the air. We are expecting a fly past. It may be Merlin aircraft, it may be Wildcat aircraft, but we think they're coming over now, and Mark is going to do his very best to pick them out of the sky. We think they're coming from behind us, from the direction of Portsdown Hill, and will fly over our position and then fly out over the carrier. So that is going to be any second now. The rotor blades getting closer and closer, the sound of them at least. The beautiful sight there of, in the front, a Wildcat helicopter leading 2 Merlin helicopters as they fly right over us here at the entrance to Portsmouth Harbour, and now pay their respects and tribute to HMS Prince of Wales. Right on cue. Love it when a plan comes together. That was one of the things I was about to say we're expecting, and there we go. It is. What else shall we look out for? Well, as the ship gets closer to us, you'll start to get to the detail. You can already see, if you've got very good eyesight, like a peregrine falcon, the sort of dots as they appear right around the flight deck. They are individual sailors and officers spaced at regular intervals around, and they will become much more visible as we get closer. Helicopters still making their way out in the direction of the carrier. Excellent to see the Wildcat. It had been thought that we might just see Merlin, but lovely to see both of those airframes today. The progress always seems slow. They're moving at a good pace, actually. It's just that it's a long way away, and the closer they get, the quicker it goes. To when she's right in front of us here, it'll be over in a matter of moments. But that's about 5 or 10 minutes away, I'd guess, at this point. Now, we go on about the carrier strike group, but it was called Operation Highmast, and it was a real demanding series of multinational exercises that tested interoperability and combat readiness across multiple theatres, according to the press release. That means, how well do they work with their allies? How do the bits of kit, the equipment, the different platforms, the different sorts of vessel, the different operating procedures, how do they all correlate with each other? How do they all work together? Because you need to test that if you're ever going to be in a war fighting situation. So it's really, really important. Now, an example of that, as we see the tugs with their wonderful water jets, wonderful example of this joint working was exercise Mediterranean Strike. 21 warships involved, 3 submarines, 41 fast jets, and over 8,000 personnel. It's one of the region's largest naval exercises this year, and saw the Brits training alongside the Italian Air Force, demonstrating their defence partnerships there. What a picture, though, that is. With the light shining through those water jets, absolutely spectacular. We talked a little bit about, or I talked a little bit about F-35s. Now, they have departed from the ship, so before any of you start saying, where are the F-35s? They don't, generally speaking, come into Portsmouth Harbour. They fly back to where they operated from, which is RAF Marham. But the milestone reached was 24 British F-35 jets on board HMS Prince of Wales during that operational period in the Mediterranean that I was just talking about just now. That's the highest number of 5th generation fighters ever seen on either of the Royal Navy's Queen Elizabeth class aircraft carriers. The jets were from 809 Naval Air Squadron and 617 Squadron, and the aforementioned Falcon Strike was the key part of that, the Italian-led drills, and also their Italians, the US, the Greek Air Force. There were day and night training sorties, and again that word interoperability and operational working is what that's all about, how the NATO allies correlate their capabilities and kits. So that was a real milestone, and one that has perhaps been long coming, but it has happened now. So if you're just joining us, let's reiterate the big numbers on this deployment. Well over 4,000 British personnel taking part, 40,000 miles travelled right around the globe, all the way to Japan, to Australia, right back now to where it all began back in April. The Solent and Portsmouth Harbour beckons as the ship starts its journey. Now I'm going to predict a number of things now, but I'm going to predict that the noise level in about 3 minutes time all around us is going to really build. Everyone's just gone quite quiet, but very soon the cheering will commence. Scenes will be echoed later in Devonport, where many friends and families are already gathering, I'm sure, to get prime spot down at Devil's Point to see the Type 23 frigate HMS Richmond return to her home port after being part of this carrier strike group. Always anxious times in the run-up to a homecoming. There are certain milestones and little things that I've noticed that happen at certain points which show whether it's going to run on time or whether it's not for any reason. And one of those is the police launches going out. They tend to go out first. They're still visible on the left of picture there and on the right. So if they've gone out, you know it's going well. Then if the tugs make their transit out, you know they're going to meet something. So all of those things happened at just about the right time today. So we're all very confident here that this would happen on schedule, which indeed it has. We got our first glimpse of the carrier about 2 hours ago, right on the horizon, and on anything but a day like today you wouldn't have noticed her, but there she was, way beyond all the other shipping, as the cannons fire. As the guns fall silent to the left from our vantage point, we can see once again the helicopters coming directly over Southsea as I speak, and they'll soon make their way over Clarence Pier and once again fly over the aircraft carrier. The two Merlin helicopters, and in the midst of those the Wildcat, once again coming in nice and low, standing out beautifully amongst the pale blue winter sky, and making one final fly past as we get to the business end of things, as the carrier is just minutes away now from entering Portsmouth Harbour and going right past our wonderful vantage point. So let's listen to the roar of those rotors as they come past us once more. What absolutely stunning pictures these are. Truly beautiful in the sunshine, and that water is just making it look so, I was going to say dreamlike. That's probably not appropriate. They're in Procedure Alpha all around the 4-acre flight deck. And I bet it's chilly for those right at the top of the ski ramp there. But what a proud moment and what an amazing time for these young men and women of His Majesty's Royal Navy. Their wonderful 8-month and incredibly important mission coming to its close, and they come home knowing that they've achieved so much and done the nation so proud. I'm going to fall silent, you'll be pleased to hear, as we witness the carrier approach us. We'll hear the water jets and we'll hear the cheers as HMS Prince of Wales comes home. Cheers starting to ripple along from the square tower all the way towards us as they come in. Very soon, a Mexican wave or a domino rally, they will erupt all around us. It will start to wave. Carrier makes her final entrance to Portsmouth this year. What an 8 months that ship's company has experienced right around the world, working with so many nations, doing so much. And now, what a homecoming. And don't forget, of course, they're home in time for Christmas. Plenty of tears here on the round tower, and plenty of cheers too. You can see the flags, you can see the people, you can see the ship and the sailors and officers on board as they're directly alongside us and heading into the harbour. Once alongside, the families or some will be waiting along the jetty and the reunions can take place. One final fly past. and the Royal Navy's flagship is once more home in Portsmouth. Thanks very much indeed for watching. It's Tim Cooper who's been with you, Mark taking the pictures, and this has been BFBS Forces News Live. We're back again later this afternoon after 3 o'clock for His Majesty's Norwegian ship, or to get it right, His Norwegian Majesty's ship, Royal Amundsen, part of this carrier strike group. She'll be coming into Portsmouth and we'll be here live for that, so do join me for that if you can. But for now, for the time being, from all of us here at the Round Tower in Portsmouth, thanks very much for watching. We hope you've enjoyed what I think has been a real treat and a real spectacle. For now, goodbye.
Being tested to their limits on all the skills they've learned over the course of the last 9 months.
We're heading for the far edge of Poland, NATO's easternmost flank, and where the Kremlin is now repeatedly testing the alliance's resolve.
After Norway, the next stop for Russian forces is the UK. That's why it's key that we have a presence here.
Does ejecting from an aircraft make you shorter? Research suggests it actually can.
Meet some of the military's first combat lifesavers. It's a brand new role to meet the challenges of an increasingly complex battlefield.